All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a word you probably use all the time, seed. Just for letters, right? But by looking at just one source, its entry in the Simple English Wiktionary, we're about to uncover some, well, pretty surprising depth.
So that's really the big question for today, isn't it? How can a word that we think of as so basic actually hold so much complexity? Let's unpack it and see what's been hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so let's start with the definition we all think of. You know, the one we learn as kids. It's straightforward, it's wholesome, it's all about nature.
And here it is. As a countable noun, a seed is this tiny little thing just full of potential. You know, the very start of a plant's life. It feels pretty clear-cut, doesn't it?
The example sentence they gave really paints a picture, right? It's just a clean, universal idea that pretty much anyone can imagine. But this is only where the story begins.
Because as we start to peel back the layers, well, things get a lot more complex. And frankly, a lot more interesting.
Okay, whoa. Right away, we see this fascinating split. Seed isn't just a noun, it's a verb too. And in both cases, it carries two very different meanings. We just jumped from the world of gardening all the way to human reproduction, from a simple object to a much more complex and, yes, sometimes vulgar idea. So let's just focus on the noun form for a second. This distinction between countable and uncountable is actually a huge deal. You can count plant seeds one by one. But that second definition, talking about semen, is what's called an uncountable mass noun. So the exact same four-letter word is operating in two totally different grammatical and conceptual worlds. And this brings us to the real puzzle here. I mean, it's a fair question, right? With all this slang and vulgarity and biological complexity, what is this word doing in a dictionary that's supposed to be for simple English?
Well, the answer is kind of tucked away in this little note right at the top of the Wiktionary page. It all comes down to something called the B850 list.
And boom, there it is. This is the key. A single sentence that changes everything. Seed was put on this list on purpose. It was chosen to be part of a foundational vocabulary for the English language. So the real question is, why? Let's focus on that number for a second. 850. This isn't just some random number they pulled out of a hat. The B850, or Basic English 850, is a specially selected list of words that are considered essential for day-to-day communication. So out of hundreds of thousands of words, someone decided seed had to be on that list. And this gets to the whole philosophy behind Basic English. See, the point wasn't to dumb the language down, not at all. It was to build a functional core. The idea is that with these 850 foundational words, you can explain almost any complex idea. So simplicity here doesn't mean a lack of depth. It means having a powerful central meaning that other ideas can grow from. So that brings us right back to our word. If seed is on this super essential list, it must have a really powerful core idea. Let's find it. And here we are, full circle. The whole reason seed is considered basic English is because of that very first definition. That idea of a small thing that contains all the potential for a new beginning, that's the fundamental concept that makes it so essential. And that is the real takeaway. All the other meanings, the biological one, the vulgar ones, all the metaphors, they all grow out of this one core concept. A seed is a source. It's an origin. It's the point where something begins. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about a plant, a person, or even an idea. All that complexity blossoms from that one simple root. But you know what's really fascinating? The source page itself reminds us that this story isn't over. It actually shows us something pretty crucial about how language works in the real world. I just love this. Right there on the page is an admission that, hey, this definition isn't finished. It's an open invitation. It proves that language isn't some static set of rules that gets handed down to us. It's a living project that we are all constantly building together. So we're left with this final thought to chew on. What really makes a word essential? Is it just about being easy to understand? Or is it the ability to hold a powerful core idea from which countless other meanings can grow? The story of the word seed seems to suggest it's definitely the latter. Thanks for watching.